Formally seconded. Formally seconded. Dublin North Central Constituency Council to propose motion 20.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Jane Horgan-Jones, Fairview and District Branch, Dublin North Central Constituency Council. Delegates, comrades and friends, Minister Burton spoke earlier at the beginning of this debate about uncomfortable truths that have to be faced. One of those truths indeed has to be faced about the plight of lone parent families in this country. There are 25,000 more such families now than there were in 2006. They are much more likely to be living in poverty now than they were then, and their children are much more likely to be living in poverty than the children of any other type of family unit, and indeed many of them are. Delegates, these facts are as simple as they are shocking, and it is an indictment of the last government that the chance to improve the lives of those in lone parent families was not taken in times of plenty. Delegates, we have a proud history as a party of government of defending the rights and interests of these families. Not only did we invent CE schemes, delegates, but we should not forget that it was Brendan Corish, as the Labour Minister for Social Welfare in the 70s, who first introduced direct welfare payments to single parents. Delegates, I don't pretend, nor do I want to, that the tough and difficult budget just gone did not contain measures that made the situation tougher for lone parents. And cynics may say that this motion, therefore, is a deviation from government policy or a criticism of a minister who has widely and rightly been seen as one of the most outspoken and courageous of cabinet ministers. It is nothing of the sort, delegates. This motion is essential support for the battle that all Labour ministers must wage, inside as well as outside cabinet, to protect the most vulnerable in our society, particularly children, who must not be allowed to become the casualties of a catastrophe they have done nothing to create. This is a battle that must and will continue to be waged by Labour ministers in every budget for as long as this government lasts, and they are entitled to our support in this battle. Delegates, I ask the conference to reject the cynical belief that the way to encourage the rich to work harder is by giving them more money in their pockets, but the way to make the poor work harder is to take away what little money that they have. Delegates, this is the hidden assumption behind all right-wing economics. We are in government in difficult times, but we must continue to reflect and to reorganise the public and political agenda so that the burden falls instead on those with the ability to pay rather than the weakest members in our society. Delegates, achieving this goal depends on our critical support for our ministers in government, who know that this party is not populated by yes men or yes women, and they would not expect us to behave any differently than to uphold and fight for the core values we share. In the reality of today's Ireland, delegates, almost 6 voters out of every 10 voted last February for right-wing policies. And we cannot expect, and we do not expect, to be able to implement 100% of the policies with only 20% of the vote. But delegates, I firmly believe that we have more than 20% of the argument, we have more than 20% of the fight, and that is needed to get things right. Delegates, passing this motion is a good step on the road to putting things right. The marginalised and vulnerable in our society expect no less of us, and I urge you to support the motion. Thank you, delegates.